welcome to noise11.com, and the tour is going to kick off very soon. Kick it out. You're actually getting out on the road. It's been 12 months of sitting around doing nothing, so it must feel great.
Yeah, well, 12 months. In 12 months, Peter Farnan wrote, I think, an opera with Richard Pleasance, and I drank 7 beers a night. There's a work ethic thing happening there. I just put on about 6 kilos, just hanging around at the home, being lazy. But yeah, aching to get out there again. We've done a couple of shows, and I need to get fit. But otherwise, the band's sounding pretty good. Except this tour, we're sporting ourselves. So we're doing an acoustic thing. We've done it before. But now we kind of, crazy lunatics that we are, we ask the public, we ask social media to tell us what songs they'd like to hear, and they've picked some crazy tunes, my friend. And so we've got to learn them, and I've got to learn to play the guitar again, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting.
Well, I think probably the last time I saw Boom Crash Opera would have been on one of the festival tours. Would have been Red Hot Summer, possibly.
Red Hot Summer, yeah.
When you're doing a show like that, you've got, a limited amount of time, maybe 40 minutes. So it's very easy to package up, a greatest hits package in that. When you're doing your own shows, how will that expand out?
Well, the festival shows, people are expecting you to do your smash them out, get off, next person, just smash it. No new tunes, thank you. This time, when we're doing our own show, we're just trying to make it interesting, try to put some theater into it. It's kind of easy to just smash out your songs, but to actually try and make it interesting for the punter, and for ourselves, that's hard. So we've decided to start off acoustically and build up to the full band, and incorporate a bunch of songs that we've never played before. There's a song called "Off to Sea" we've never done before. There's a song called "Dreaming Up a Fire," which I don't remember playing for a very long time. So we're doing a lot of the stuff. People have suggested we do some songs, and we're doing most of them. So it's a long set. It's about an hour and 40. So it'll be good. Yeah, ending up in full electric thing. Yeah.
There hasn't been a new album since the 90s. And, when we go back to some of that late 90s stuff, the track Gimme, the Gizmo album, is there anything that you would resurrect from those days into a set list now?
We're doing a track from Gizmo. We're doing the first track. I can't think of the name of our song. So we're doing one track of Gizmo. We're doing Gimme. I don't know, never say never, but for me, it's always, there's always this contention of when you go and see a band, I'm sure 90% would rather you just smash out the hits, maybe do a couple of other songs that they're familiar with from an album, not, oh, do you like our new direction? Do you know what I mean? And so 10% might want you to do a new song, but that's not enough to invest time and effort into, the 10% that want you to hear. Having said that, if a good song comes out of Peter Farnan, I'm happy to, play it and record it. Never say never.
Yeah. For the record, "Wake Up Fine" was the name of the song you were thinking of there from the.
There you go. Wake up. No, that's one of them. No, we're doing something else then. It must be of. Yeah, it's off Gizmo. No, not off Gizmos. Up Kanam Kay. Been many years since I was born. What's that song? Don't Forget to Breathe. That's what it's called. That's a great song. I'm really surprised that it actually lent itself to a band playing live, because there's a lot of stuff in the back, lots of looping, lots of sequencing, and there's this chant. Because I was born in India, there's a chant. It's "Aapka naam kya hai," which means "What's your name? What is your name?" And a chant's behind. And we did it a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, and it's really, really good. Except I got to play the guitar, and it's stifling for me playing the guitar, because I'm not really good at it. And so I've got to. Normally, I just whatever happens, but this time I've got to learn to coordinate my hand to my mouth, and I don't like it much. But I need to be able to. We need the extra instrument.
Yeah.
I'd rather just hire Richard to come back.
That was Gizmo Mantra was 1997, 24 years ago. Why hasn't there been a studio album from Boom Crash Opera in all that time?
Born again. There was Born. That was a studio album. That was a double album. So Born was in the 90s. Not well received. It was, I think, sonically for me, it was a little harsh. A lot of new stuff on there that I don't think people were ready for in those days. And I think even that's about 20 years ago. So yeah.
Well, Born was before Gizmo.
Born was after Gizmo.
Born released February 1995. Gizmo November 1997.
Oh, really? Jeez, I've got my chronological stuff on. We went back to being normal again. Oh, well, there you go. You got me. Well, yeah. Well, I don't know what that was. I don't know why that was. Maybe we just needed to have a break or something. I don't know. We were working pretty hard. I don't know why we didn't make any more records. I just don't know why.
That first record that you had, you went into the studio with Alex Sadkin, who just had an absolutely incredible resume, didn't he? Talking Heads, Grace Jones, Bob Marley, Duran Duran, Thompson Twins. What was it like working with him for your first record?
To be honest, that first record, I spent most of my time cooking. I was the caterer because Alex hated the caterer we had. He said, "Oh, this tastes like dog food." So I spent most of the day preparing food. The budget went from like £75 a day to like £500 a day because I was making sushi and sashimi, and I had to buy all the utensils. We're living in St. John's Wood. But every time I saw Alex, he always seemed to be in control. Richard and Peter were the masters of that record, to be honest. That was our first record, and it was completely new to me, being in another country and recording an album that I'd never done things like that. And so it was very new to me, and I didn't really pay much attention except apart from singing. I let them do their thing. I didn't know anything about it.
That record had a very unique sound to it. Was that attributable to Alex, or did Boom Crash Opera come pre-packed with that sound when you hit the studio?
I would say a bit of half and half. I think Alex, because we recorded Great Wall in Australia with another producer, and it's quite a big sound. So I think I can attribute that to Boom Crash Opera just being Mezz playing as loud as he does. It's just the way the band played. It was quite bombastic and loud. I think Sadkin kind of put the ideas a little more concisely together. There's a Pete's Finest lyric and melodies just all over the joint. He's so prolific. And so I think Alex helped shape things. But no, I think it's half and half, I think half and half. I think, again, Peter wrote something about me the other day, and I thought it was quite interesting, and I really like it. He said, "Dale, we had this band in London, and then we had this loose, expressive R&B singer who he thinks, his exact words were, who either held the album hostage or released it." And I think a bit of both myself, and I said, that's a good observation, Pete. You're right, because I did come from an R&B background, and they were very staunch indie players, those two. They had a clear vision of what they were, and I remember I bent them quite a lot, and there was lots of bending back and forth, but I'm glad I did what I did.
The second album, These Here Are Crazy Times, Jimmy Iovine is credited on here in production. How much do you have to do with that record?
2 songs. Jimmy Iovine did 2 songs. Richard pretty much recorded that album in Australia. And so I think Jimmy Iovine heard The Best Thing and Talk About It and wanted to re-record it. So we went to LA, and that's when and he re-recorded it. The Best Thing sounds pretty similar, but I think Talk About It is a different version. Richard's version is quite etherical, it's got a lot of space in it. Iovine kind of tried to turn it into a single. I like them both, I did the same thing on both records. Singing wise, expressive wise, I did the same thing. But I like them both, But that was, and Iovine was never always in the studio. And I often wondered why it's so expensive and what he was actually doing. But then he'd come back in and then just touch a few knobs, and you go, that's what he's good at. Do you know what I mean? Because we would just become a hybrid in the studio all day. We'd be touching knobs and the song would just go somewhere. He'd come in and just refocus and go, boys, let's start again. This is where we focus. And that was his thing. You know, he was very good at it.
I've just been watching the Defiant Ones on Netflix, which is the story of Jimmy, which is quite fascinating. At that point, so in the 90s, when you were working with him, he'd already done all that work with Bruce Springsteen and Patti Smith. Was there conversations about what he'd done in the past in the studio when he was there?
Well, like I said, he was never in the studio, but his engineer, Tom Panunzio, was in the studio engineering, obviously. And lots and lots of stories. Like they were in New York recording, I think he did Bowie. He was recording something and Hendrix was there and Bowie was there. And so there was lots of stories. Jimmy, you know, people would drop into the studio, like Wendy and Lisa from Prince dropped into the studio. Robert Plant dropped into the studio once. Got to say hello to him. But no, I mean, I guess my recording process was, I got bored in the studio quite easily. And so I just pretty much come and do my vocal and leave. I don't like the recording process much. You know, I was either playing my PlayStation or sleeping somewhere. I never was. I don't have a recording studio at home. I never did 4 tracks and all that sort of stuff. Richard and Peter were right into that, and it never interested me.
What about you as a solo artist? You know, after that time that you had departed Boom Crash Opera for a period of time, it wasn't really to go and really launch a solo career, was it?
Not really. I think we kind of had a break, and I don't know. I just like singing. Like I said, I don't like recording. I write songs, but again, I find it tedious. You know, I guess I'm my own worst enemy. I'm quite critical of my expression, so I write something and then just throw it away because I didn't think it was good enough, and maybe I needed to work harder. I'm a pretty lazy person, and so yeah, I think my expression comes from just vocals, singing. You know, singing and being on stage. I can paint. Again, I didn't do much with that. You know, I worked with my dad painting ceramics for a little while after Boom Crash finished. I did the Rocky Horror Show, did that for a little while. Did a cover band for a little while, you know, because I just like singing. I don't particularly like being in the studio.
What about when the band brought in Andrew De Silva? Did you ever have the opportunity when Andrew was fronting the band in place of you to actually stand in the audience and watch the band?
Andrew De Silva was actually my. I suggested Andrew. Because the band and I, our schedule was just clashing. I was doing a lot of stuff that I liked doing on the side, and it was just clashing. And I didn't want to hold them back. I suggested, well, we both came to the agreement that maybe another singer, you know. And I suggested Andrew, because I think Andrew's a phenomenal singer, you know, very, very, very talented. But I never saw them live. I saw some clips of them, but never live. I thought it was kind of a bit of a faux pas if I actually arrived at a gig, you know. I just didn't think it was appropriate to go to a gig and see somebody else. You know, I didn't want to make a spectacle of myself.
How did you get back into the band? Was there a phone call? How did that conversation happen?
I think, again, the same thing happened with Andrew, and I think Sinister. I think Andrew's schedule Andrew has, obviously, his records, and he's got his own stuff. He's got CDB, and he does his own thing. He does Prince thing. He does a lot of recording. And so their schedule started to clash, and I was available. So I got a call saying, you know, would you consider coming back? And I go, good. I missed you guys. I didn't think I would, but I did, you know, and I did miss them. You know, I'd see them on YouTube and go, I'd like to do that again. And then unfortunately it happened, and here I am back again. So it's good.
You alluded to if Pete comes along with a new song, you wouldn't be opposed to
happily record it. Yeah, happily do it. You know, but again, like I said, it's the investment in time and effort, and I don't mean for monetary things. I mean just I'm 66 now, and infinite time. I don't have infinite time anymore. I've got finite time with my kids and family, and so it's got to make sense to me to put that effort in. And if the song's good enough, I'm happy to do it. I just don't know why we would do it. That's often my thing. It's like, who wants to listen to it? 10% of our fan base. Well, maybe good enough, I don't know. Lots of people have asked, and like I said, never say never. I think you and I talked about this last time we were talking on Red Hot Summer. You brought this up, and you said it sounds like you're chomping at the bit for us to write some new stuff.
Yeah.
So depending on what Pete writes, I've said this. We actually had this chat a couple of weeks ago, and I said, write something good, and or maybe even something so different that people aren't expecting us to do. That would be terrific. I'd like to do something really different.
Mm. It is a tremendous legacy, though, to look at the top 40 chart in Australia, and you were actually a top 40 band over a decade or so with numerous top 40 hits. Could you imagine a rock band these days having that many hits on the top 40 like you had back then?
Well, there's a lot of bands that have. I mean, there's a lot of bands in America that have lots of singles out and constantly on the radio. Constantly bringing stuff out. But I think the vehicle these days is not there for that kind of volume. No one listens to the radio very much anymore. For new tracks. So it's all become heritage kind of things. And I think that's why heritage is so big. So if you want to see new tracks, got to go on social media or Spotify or one of those things to learn to listen to new songs, which is a real shame. We need it. The industry needs to perhaps go back to what it was. I mean, I don't think it ever will because of streaming. But I read somewhere that, or maybe Pete was telling me that, what's his name from ABBA, Bjorn. Was actually did a statistic on streaming and how much money you get, and it worked out you're getting per 1,000 streams, you're only getting like 3 cents, and that's for ABBA. So you need like 50 or 60 million streams to make any kind of to recoup anything. So I don't see. Yeah, it's the future's looking kind of weird, not dim but weird.
Well, looking forward to the tour when it gets underway all around the country, which is great news, and plenty of hits to be had in that. So I look forward to the expanded version of that. Dale, thanks for joining us here at Noise 11.
Thanks, Paul. No worries.